Hi everyone, Mike Christopher here. Today I thought we'd talk about white balance. What is it? Why do we have it? How is it measured? And just give you a general overlay so you've got a general understanding of what it is. So what white balance is it's the actual colors and tints in your picture and making sure they're correct. The human eye, when we're sitting inside at night with the with the incandescent lights on in the house, or if we're out in the shade, the human eye will adjust the colors and will interpret them the right color they're supposed to be, where the camera can't. It just knows what it knows and what you tell it. And so that's why we set white balance, to make sure the camera records it in the proper temperature. When I say temperature, white balance is measured in Kelvin, and it's anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 kelvins. And they go from warm to cool, or from an orange to a blue. And when I say temperature, it's not a physical temperature. It's not like you're gonna go outside or you can touch the temperature of the color. It's not gonna be hot or cold physically, but they measured it in kelvins. And so the different kelvins there are, just to give you an example, is you start off in the low end of the scale, the 1,000 to like the 2,500. That's like candlelight. It's the coolest temperature. It's a reddy orange glow. And then past 2,500, going to 3,000. Let me clarify something here. If you do an internet search for white balance color temperatures, they are all over the chart. There is not set standards here. So these are generalizations, and don't take these as gospel, but it'll give you a ballpark range of where things land. So anyway, going past 2,500 to like 3,000, that's where you get to the incandescent lighting. And we've all seen these. Rumor has it they're going away. But that's a very yellow light. Again, a little orangey, but more of a yellow tone to it. And then once you get past the 3,000, going up to the 4,000, that's an early morning light or late afternoon light, when the sun's setting or rising, more typically sunrise. And it's getting out of the yellows. We're coming into almost, I would call it clear, before we get into the blues. And then once you get past the 3,000, going up into the 4,000 range, that's when you get to the fluorescence. This is one of the newer ones. I think we've all seen the long tube ones. They make circular ones. You might even have one in your kitchen. A lot of kitchen lights have them. But that's getting into the blue range. Sometimes it's even got a green tint to it. So you can have a greeny blue tint there. And then once you get past the 4,000 to the 5,000, 5,500 range, that's when you get into flashes. And we're getting close to what they call daylight. But the flash on your camera, your speed lights, your studio lights, they're all, in that 4,000 to 5,500 range, so to speak. And then once you get past the 5,000, getting up into like the 6,500, maybe even the 7,000 range, that is high noon outside. You're definitely getting into some blue light there, and the harshness of the high sun out there. But once you get past that, then we get into the between 5,000 and 8,000. I know that's a huge range, but that's overcast skies, when the sky's all cloudy. And that's actually extremely blue light. I know, it's a lot of times the light photographers look for, because you don't have the harsh shadows, but it's a very blue light, so the camera has to adjust accordingly for that. Then when you get past that range, going into the 8, 9, 10,000 range, that's shade. Believe it or not, shade is one of the bluest lights out there. So I know a lot of times when you go to shoot outside, you're always looking for shady spots to make sure you can get out of that harsh sun. But it's a very blue light, so your camera needs to know either tell it what to do so you can white balance correctly. But a lot of cameras have what they call AWB, auto white balance, And a lot of people use that. That's probably used more than actually setting white balance, especially on point and shoot cameras. Even though they have the capability of setting white balance, a lot of people will just use the auto white balance. And the auto white balance works pretty well, to be honest with you. I mean, it works really great. The one thing about if your white balance is off, this is why people always like to shoot in RAW. You can go in a program like Lightroom or Photoshop and you can adjust your white balance. But if you shoot in JPEG and you adjust that white balance, you're just throwing data out the window. You're destroying the integrity of the picture and the data that's in there. Where with RAW, you can go back and you can readjust and correct that white balance if you need to, and you don't lose any of the data or integrity of the photo. That's why a lot of people like to shoot in RAW. I mean, you can literally take 2 pictures right in a row with auto white balance and the tones will be different because the camera is reading something different. What the camera does with white balance is it looks for something white in the picture and it uses that as a base reference, and once it sets that, all the other colors or temperatures will fall into place. So if it can't read it correctly, if it's either too dark or there is no white or there's too much of a blue light or a shaded color on it, then the camera can't distinguish what it needs to, and your white balance is going to be off and your picture's not going to look right. So that's a general overlay of white balance. I hope it made some sense to you. I'm actually going to be doing a tutorial on how to set custom white balance and kind of go over a little bit more in detail what the different white balances are. But I'm just waiting for one thing to show up that I ordered about 3 weeks ago that still hasn't come here. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope it was informative for you. Please like, please subscribe. If you ever have any questions or requests, make sure to send me an email. I'll be happy to answer them. But have a great day. Thanks a lot.